anywhere near long enough. Most unfortunate. Now! Oh dear. I am a colossal and complete failure. Okay! Right. Let's get the headband on, shall we? Because we are doing lower body work in a greenhouse. Which, is not something that I would advise, but something that we're doing because we're limited on options. And this is accessible to anyone, greenhouse or not. Right, setting up as usual for barbell back squats for our first exercise, setting the bar at another level of our clavicle, or the spine of the scapula, if you like. Another landmark. Warming up with 30 kilos. Hello, Kirby. Good to see you. How are you doing? Gonna be doing our anatomy flashcards as usual. N2O. It's nitrous oxide. Nice. Smaller particles carried by active transport, penocytation, cytosis, and larger particles are phagocytosis, export of waste material by reverse processes, exocytosis. How are you doing, Kirby? How's your day? I should do my warm-up before I get too invested in conversation or quizzes. I should check safeties actually. Bail might be moderately difficult. Let's put them on 5. Another safe than some here, we can also have a little if needed. But in the rather unlikely event that my spine snaps in half, I should like to have the safeties there. What occurs during the metaphase of mitosis? So, you've got prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Metaphase. Nuclear membrane disappears. Chromosomes arrange themselves at the center of the cell, attached by spindle by their centromere. Toward the end of phase, each chromosome can be seen as 2 chromatids beginning to pull apart. Yes! And always gets me. What is respiration in the context of a cell? So, respiration in the context of a cell is termed cellular respiration. It is an oxidative reaction. So it takes oxygen, combines it with food substances in order to produce ATP, and produces carbon dioxide as a byproduct. What are chromosomes? Coiled strands of DNA, or deoxyribonucleic acid, prior to cell division become tightly forming chromosomes, so that's chromatids, isn't it? What are chromosomes themselves? 2 of the chromatids comprising 1 DNA molecule held together by a centromere. Nice! Okay. Function of collagen. So collagen functions to provide skin its subtlety, its waterproofing. Helps form fibroblasts. That's the one I was missing. Okay, let's keep it going. I'm going to turn the fan on, actually. Circulate here. Do you know, I'd be curious to look up the mechanism by which the passage of air in a sealed-ish room gives the sensation of cooling. Because logically it's adding energy to the room, isn't it? It's exciting particles or atoms, right? So, turning a fan on, supplying it with electricity, you're taking particles that are at a standstill, adding energy to them and pushing them into other particles, which, as a result, means there's more energy in the system, and as a result, more heat or more temperature. So, why does it feel cool? I don't actually know. I know that molecules or air molecules impacting a substance will transmit a certain amount of energy and take a certain amount of energy as well. I'm not cultured enough to have a good answer to that one, but it's curious. How are you doing, Steve? I recovered from the double Obama yet? Can't say I have, Kirby. It was rather traumatic. Also, got a question. I don't work out often, and I went to the gym with a friend today to do chest. Did bench and upward shoulder press, 5 sets of 5 and all that. Then I moved to a couple of other things, at which point I got nauseous and almost passed out for a solid 5 minutes. Stopped there and went home, and I almost passed out again in the shower. How normal is that? Was stopping and going home the right choice in most cases? Yes. Caution is always the best choice. When it comes to exercise and working out, what you do in the gym doesn't matter. If you are looking at a single session or a single day, whether that day is bad or good, in the context of your entire fitness journey and your entire physique from a holistic point of view, that one day is infinitesimally insignificant. It just does not matter. And so, yes, if you're having a bad day, caution is always mathematically the better choice. Because the amount that you can gain from one gym session is very, very small. The amount that you can lose via injury or damaging yourself in some other way or pushing and having a really poor experience that disrupts your consistency later on is way more damaging than losing out on the minute relative amount of gains or progress that you get from that one session. So yes, in an acute sense, caution is always the best notion. With regards to feeling like you're gonna pass out, it depends how much of a departure what you did is from your regular routine. In a similar way to your body developing DOMS or delayed onset muscle soreness, it's something that your body gets used to. In the same way, physical activity, or stressing and anaerobic or aerobic systems of the body are something that you should do slowly and build up over time because you develop a tolerance and you can push your boundaries that way. If you live a fairly sedentary lifestyle and then you suddenly go and do a lot of anaerobic work, like weightlifting, for example, at a very low rep count, like 5, which generally is strength work, it's quite heavy, maybe your rest times are a little short. you can overtax yourself and wind up having difficulty like you're describing. I would certainly advise consulting your GP or some medical professional just to ensure that there's not something more concerning. But I am aware of mechanisms that can cause those kind of symptoms just through being such a vivid departure from one's sort of baseline, which is why we program sort of incrementally. Certainly with the programming that I do with Workout Ways, it starts from where you are. It's not pre-written, like you start here. No, it's where are you? Okay, let's start from there and start moving up. So if you've departed from that, then yeah, it could well be a problem. I had an extremely active job before my current period of unemployment, so I was kind of surprised to have that much difficulty. To be fair, it was chest day and I basically never worked chest. I've done a lot of cycling and type in the past. Leg day was much more taxing but didn't affect me in the same way. That might also have something to do with it. As I say, training stimulus is an odd thing because in the same way as DOMS, if you are training a different modality, you are going to have a different reaction. And if you're not used to it, it can sneak up on you. It could be as well, and you know what, actually, I'm not going to sit here and speculate because I don't feel like it's constructive, nor do I feel like I don't know you from Adam, right? Like, I'm only hearing your symptoms via text chat, so I'm just not, it wouldn't be responsible for me to sort of keep elaborating here. I'd say consult someone who you can talk to, who can take your blood pressure, who can take your heart rate, and just make sure that there's not any medical concerns that you're looking at. Otherwise, just give yourself a bit more rest and go a bit more slowly. Right? If you were working at a 9 or a 10, work at a 7 or 8. Okay, so we're working with 60 for our working sets. Should be fun. Ooh. It's interesting as well because it could well be, and this is not a diagnosis by any means, I'm just drawing what I know from my last lower body session last week. I was still a little ill. I had a bit of a cold for the previous days, and my cardio was so much worse. I was done after my 2 sets of squats. I had to basically call it before I did my deadlifts or leg extensions, anything like that. So it's possible if you have got a cold or you've got some kind of debilitating condition that is presenting asymptomatically, right? So you're not actually coughing, you're not actually, doing all this stuff, but your body is fighting off an infection. It can result in a sharp drop in performance in a very acute sense, like if you're tracking your progression of volume or strength or whatever it might be. Usually it's a somewhat linear line, right, depending on how holistically or how chronically, I guess, you're tracking it. It's generally a line depending on whether you're bulking or cutting. and then sickness or injury generally presents as a sort of sharp decline or a sharp dip, and then a return to sort of baseline or performance. So it could be that as well. Whatever the case, one gym session is never something that matters or something to be alarmed about. You need to think about the journey as far more than what you do in the gym in one day or a week or a month. It's years and years and years that matter, and that's why consistency and adherence to workouts and to exercise are far more important than the workouts themselves. What is hyperextension? Extension of a joint beyond its normal range of motion. I do have other stuff going on as well though. I have POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. That affects much of what I do, so I've got to keep that in mind. Now that you mention it, I also was running a 38.8 102 fever for 5 days last week. Yeah? That'll do it. Your average healthy human body temperature 36.8, by the way. I mean, we don't like going that far over that. So yeah, that would probably have a pretty severe effect, as well as POTS, as you say. Let's see. Postural, obviously very much like postural hypertension. Ortho, I'm not actually sure what the prefix ortho means. I know orthodont means dentistry, or what does the prefix ortho mean, chat? I feel like I'm dumb. I feel like I saw it in a textbook at some point and it's just completely fallen out of my head. Ortho. I'm not sure. Static means unchanging in time. Tachycardia. So there's brady and tachy. I believe tachy is abnormally fast. So tachycardia, cardio meaning heart. So that would be abnormally fast heartbeat. Orthostatic, of or relating to upright posture. Really? Okay, so it's not actually a prefix in this context, I guess. Cool, so basically abnormally fast heart rate upon straightened posture, I guess. What movements do plane joints allow? Sliding or gliding movements. Hello, Darth Willow, by the way. Right, and there's an impacted fracture. Right. Chat. How many repetitions are we gonna get? 4. Oh yeah. How many repetitions are we gonna get for 60 kilos? I don't know. But that's almost the best thing about doing it. Let's respect the form, respect the weight. We're not after a number. We get the highest one we can within the realms of good form and good cadence. wasn't good. Aye. Nice. Aye, aye, aye. Great success, chat. What are the characteristics of an impacted fracture? So, it's one piece of bone thrust into another, basically. So one of the main elements of POTS is if you're prone or squatted and you stand up, your blood pressure doesn't equalize correctly for one or more of a Bezier reasons. Standard human heart rate will spike by 15 to 20% when going from prone to standing. My notice worse went up 100%, but when cardio training got it down to more like 60 to 75. Also lightheadedness, so as you might think, doing squats like you are doing now is an absolutely fat note in my case. It sounds very similar to postural hypertension, both in the sort of terminology itself and in how it presents. So if I change posture, I hold a poor posture for a particular length of time, or a particular time of the day, then I will have dizziness and sort of tunnel vision coming in. So, yeah, does present difficulty. But yeah, nearly done. And obviously, this is not medical advice by any means, but if you can find a way to do squat safely, like just with the bar in like a safety rack, like that, it might well be worth adding them in. Just because, as I say, acclimatization to a particular stimulus or exercise is something that our bodies generally are very, very good at learning to accommodate if it's introduced in a gradual sense. Obviously, talk to a medical professional, your GP, before starting any kind of change in exercise. Certainly don't take my recommendation as word of the law, but maybe ask, do you think it's a good idea to start including it? Because just anecdotally, I used to think that squats were completely off the table for me as well. I started adding them. I'd slowly work up the weight. Right? I've got to the point now where I can do them consistently and I can push them quite hard. Sometimes I do have to sort of stop and be careful, but for the most part, I can manage. How are bones connected in cartilaginous joints? Via fibrocartilage? What was the significance of the mission that Scott Kelly and Mikhail Kornienko undertook? So it was the longest tour of duty served above the aboard the ISS. What are lacunae and what do they contain? Lacunae contain lamella, which are... What are lamellae? Oh, I don't know what lamellae are. No, the lacunae are in the lamellae. The lamellae are not in the lacunae. I am dense, but I'm getting less dense, so that's a positive. Lacunae are small spaces in the lamellae that house osteocytes. What is arthritis? Inflammation of the joint capsules. What does the axial skeleton include? So all of the parts of the body in line with the midline. What are lacunae and what do they contain? So lacunae are small spaces inside of bone that house lamellae. Now, the lacunae are inside the lamellae, Steve. Inside, within, internal. God, I'm bad at this. What are lacunae and what do they contain? Lacunae are inside lamella. Can we do connective learning? So, there's probably a term for this, but one of the best ways that I've found of learning things, particularly sort of flashcard style information, sort of broad, holistic information about a particular topic, nothing too specific. One of the things that you can do is pick a memory that you just have, that you don't try to have. It's not like something that, if I think hard enough, I can remember that. Something that you just remember intrinsically. Like, for example, I remember the theme song from the Ed, and Eddie TV show. I remember the whistle at the end. So I take that memory, which is just in my head, and I try and find a logical path to link it to the new bit of information that I'm trying to retain. So if there's a way that I can do that with lacunae are inside lamellae. Lacunae, inside lamella. I don't know if I can find a connection, but you get the example, right? So it's trying to link a new memory to an old one, and in my experience, that helps me to recall that information. Okay, right. Let's go for our second set. Song's about to end, we gotta wait. Come on, give me a good song. That'll do. I wasn't counting the minutes again. I want to say 8 or 9. That's my instinct, at least. Okay. I've done squats before, just got to keep overall weight low and go for naps at a measured pace. And definitely an example of strange ways that your body can decide to screw you. Yes, join the club on that one. While lacunae, what do they contain? Lacunae are small spaces inside the lamellae that house osteocytes. Nice. Right, so chat. Next up, we're doing deadlifts. And hopefully, for example, in my case of POTS, for 8 years I had the lovely side effect of overreaction of head-body blood pressure balance after a workout. Long story short, blood was mashed to my head during the cool down, causing my brain to swell, and I get all my migraines, included portions of vision becoming completely blind. Mainly kind of dreaded working out, led me to become a lump over time before starting to work on rebuilding my cardio about 20 years ago. I think that the key thing sort of to take away is just finding a way. And it's sort of one of the reasons that my business is called Workout Ways, is just because I believe fitness is a nebulous term, right? And it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For some people, they want to play games with their grandkids out in the field, you know, when they're in their 70s and 80s and that kind of thing. Some people just want an impressive aesthetic physique. Some people want to lose weight. Some people want to help with their diet. Some people consider physical fitness non-important, and they want to pursue mental health. And one of the best ways to do that is physical fitness. So I mean, fitness as a term, I think, is really important because it encompasses all of those objectives and all of those goals. And I think each person is going to have a journey that they can walk, no matter how vanilla on the spectrum of physical fitness. And you know, I'm very enthused about the idea of helping people find whatever that journey is. I got a job as a night guard at Meiji University. 409 doors to lock and up to 7 miles to walk every day. Slowly sped up over 18 months. Yeah, walking is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic as a tool. Okay, so, chat, I can't remember where we're at on our deadlifts at the moment. I know we're getting back slowly to our former injury weight, or pre-injury weight. So that'd be nice if we can start to see that again. Whew. Tell you what, everyone should be working out in some capacity. Every single person. Because you only get one body. You should invest in it. You should take care of it. because it's gonna take care of you. You gotta give it the tools to do so. Ooh. Let's get a warm up and then we'll move you guys over there so you get a better view. You can take my form. Right. Oops. Nearly knocked my water over. That wouldn't have been smart. Oh. Hey. I'm working on another homepage redesign for Workout Waves at the moment to make it more in line with my general message of sort of fitness being different for everyone who pursues it. Because it really is a nebulous term. Like, I want to find out what my body can do. I want to use it to, for me it's a huge mental health pursuit. Like, improving my physical fitness and looking good helps me feel good, it helps me feel confident. And, you know, it's very cathartic to see the sort of documented feedback. Not only from, I mean, there's so many metrics by which you can measure fitness, be it reps, be it weight, be it just how you feel. For guys, a really good one is when your shirts don't fit anymore. I had that about a year or so into my training when I went on my first sort of major bulk. There was a point where I noticed that I didn't fit into my shirts anymore because my pecs had become rather larger than they were. For low AEDs, I would guess more frequently it's sort of the trousers becoming tighter as your gluteal muscles become more prominent or defined. But either way, those are sort of tangible feedbacks that your body is giving you, which is just a very cathartic thing, you know, as rooted in vanity it may be, but vanity is a valid reason to pursue fitness. I've opened the window and it's still hot. It's not really cold out there, help. I'm trying to avoid having to go shirtless. You guys don't deserve that. Sudden twist or wrench of the joint's ligaments. An injury or damage to a joint, pain and swelling, a spine. Protrusion specifies anterior translation without notation. What is the strongest muscle? The masseter? Gluteus maximus, damn it. More than usual number of muscle fibers in sustained contraction, usually in response to pain, spasm. I always try doing any physical activity, but as soon as I start exercising, I suddenly feel happy. Weird how that works. Well, this is something that I always characterize to people, is that so many of us, for some reason, and I think it's media that has a lot to blame, a lot of blame to take for this, because a lot of our stories, like our superhero stories and things like that, they inspired these characters intrinsic motivation. Like they have this thing within them that makes them want to do good and to achieve things and to protect the innocent. They have this sort of inbuilt virtue, this mission. Real life isn't like that. Like we don't all have this perfect script to follow, this perfect answer. And yeah, they might depict them as having trials and tribulations, but at the end of the day, they're on a script with these inbuilt motivations. Humans are way more complex. We often have no idea what we're doing, what we want, and I kind of think we compare ourselves subconsciously to people that we see in media and even fictional characters, and we say, you know, when is my motivation going to come? When's my moment? When's my inspiration going to arrive? And the fact is, in the new world, that question is your motivation. It's often the only thing that you're going to get, because motivation and inspiration don't just fall out of the sky into your lap. Right? The reality is that you have to take the first action. Right? You have to take the first step, and then motivation and inspiration find you as a result of that affirmative action. And I think that's an important lesson for people to take to heart as well. Is that waiting around doesn't work, you know, it just doesn't. So I think that's a huge point that Lake has made, is that the reason you feel good is because you are giving yourself the motivation, right? You know on a factual level, a knowledgeable level, that you are doing good for yourself. And as I've stated before, mental health and physical health are intrinsically linked. They are almost identical. They are tangential, one-to-one. If you get physically fitter, your mental health will follow that. Right? So, yeah, not much more I can say. It may just be that the bot is offline near the background. It's entirely possible. Blame Peabody. Right, so I think we're working with 90 here. Alright, what's this going to be then? 110? 10, 30, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. 110. Cool. Now what are we going for? Going for 122.5. Cool. This is a bit curious. What is plasma composed of? So it's primarily water. It's about 90 to 92% water. The rest being plasma proteins like albumin, fibrinogen, globulin. There's various other substances generally compose interstitial fluid as well. Nice. What is the pons responsible for? Certain reflex actions like chewing, saliva production, and swallowing. Yay! What is epilepsy? Disorder of the central nervous system can cause dizziness, vomiting, fainting. What is cerebrospinal fluid? So it's a fluid that circulates around the brain and spinal cord, similar in characteristics to blood plasma, as a purpose of circulating nutrients, disposing of waste. It's interposed between the meninges, secreted by specialized cells found inside of germinal plexuses and the lining of ventricles. Circulated around the brain and spinal cord and reabsorbed through venous sinuses within the arachnoid mater. Nice. What is spina bifida? Developmental disorder involving a neurotube resulting in deformation of the spine or the lack of a spine at all. What is cerebral palsy? Damage to the central nervous system or the motor division of the central nervous system. Well, there is no motor division of the central nervous system, but the motor system of the body during birth or prior to birth. Yeah. During birth or neonatal defect. Nice. Where does sympathetic nerves originate? They're thoracolumbar. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to go and add some water. I'm going to get a bit of salt as well because I've been sweating. And yeah, I will be right back. I did see one on JB Fitness. Righty-ho, chat. Oh yeah. So, this is 110 kilos. So we're going for 122.5. What are you doing? We are doing standard deadlifts right now, fine fellow, and we're doing flashcards, and we're talking to people about my fitness website, Workout Ways, because it's cool, and fitness is sexy. Any plans for the evening? I really don't mind. I'm up for doing just about anything. So if you have a preference, shout it out and let me know. This is... I do not have a lot of clearance here. You know the relationship I have with clips on the bar, but with a deadlift, it's generally fine because I'm not under the bar at any point. We can get the clips on, how about that? Would rather not let Subnautica die off after one session. Oh, believe me, Subnautica's the default now unless people turn up and want me to play something else. Because I do enjoy Subnautica. Oh wait, I'm done. I put 2.5 on that side. It's meant to be 2.5 in total. Nope, I'm still done. There we go. Hooray for achieving not doneness. Whoop. Look at that. I'm confusing myself. Okay, 122.5. Oh, this is good weight, chat. It's good weight. Oh, think you're gonna finish before Subnautica 2? I don't think I'd finish in the entire age of the observable universe, quite honestly. Every person contains billions of nerve cells or neurons. There are about 100 billion in the brain, 13.5 million in the spinal cord. What is the function of the cerebrum? So the cerebrum is the largest portion of the brain. It's divided into two hemispheres. It functions to manage conscious thought, memory, decision-making, rationalization, and motor actions, I believe. Yeah. Nice. An adult brain weighs around 3 pounds? Yes. What role does the hypothalamus play in emotions? So the hypothalamus is essentially a house management device. It manages driving emotions such as hunger, thirst, hate, affection. And the hypothalamus itself is the main connection between the body's nervous or electrical system and its hormonal system. Because the hypothalamus connects... The hell? Where's my belt? Hypothalamus connects to the pituitary gland, which is one of the primary sources of hormonal action in the body. It's basically the king of the endocrine system. And it's regulated by the pituitary gland in response to the hypothalamus. In response to what the hypothalamus interprets. I can't find my belt, chap. I have a lifting belt somewhere, and I found it! Huzzah! Subnautica 2 is not out yet. It's not, no, but what we are doing right now, and what we're, well, not right now, but what I'm going to do this evening is, what time will I be? Okay, so at 8:30, I will be playing, see if I can get this right first try. Crowd Control Subnautica Hardcore Randomizer. So, Twitch can spawn stuff in the game. I only have one life. If I die, we start the entire game again. Also, every recipe and scannable item in the game is completely random. So it could be like I need a fish to build like a life pod. You get the idea. It's quite chaotic. Last time, someone spawned a ghost Leviathan on my face and I died. Not for the first time, I might add. Right. What worries me about Subnautica 2 is that my big gaming rig only needs minimum system requirements. My condolences, like. Right. Here's the plan right now. I'm gonna go and use the toilet because I don't want to defecate in the middle of a deadlift. It's not a defecation lift. Right, and then we're gonna lift this like 6 times. Hopefully. Alright, this is going to be one heck of a lift. Look, there's not even a workbench in the shot. You can't worship it if it's not here. Actually, you know what? Most of the world doesn't acknowledge us, so yeah, take that back. Hey. Okay. Hey. Ugh. Oh. We need a new song. Come on, get a good one. E double? Okay. Come on, Mr. Wallace. His last name was Wallace, by the way. R.I.P. Deadlift indeed. That felt very good. Apparently, lamb is like ridiculously expensive now. I'm very glad I got as much as I did. It's not meant to feel good? Who the hell told you that? Me? I don't think I've ever told anyone that fitness ain't meant to feel good. What mode does hypothalamic... Oh, we did that one. What is a nerve impulse? So a nerve impulse is a signal or a change in polarity or what's another good? A change in charge state generated in a nerve cell via a temperature change or hormonal action or a signal. What is the function of the cerebellum? Cerebellum's primary function is to handle coordination. For example, I can reach out and touch my nose. I could if my dystonia wasn't a thing. I can touch the top of this weight and do that same thing without looking at it. And I know intrinsically where my hand is. I know it's now facing down. I know it's now behind me. I know it's up here. Cerebellum, baby! What is neuralgia? Neuralgia. I know what neuralgia is, neuralgia. I would imagine the inflammation of the nerve cells. Burning or stabbing pain along the course of one or more nerves. Okay. I know you ain't here to give medical advice, but since you seem to like to learn this stuff, I figured I'd tell you about it. Like tickle your desire to learn and stuff. On the side note, I sent you a whisper. Oh, well, much of that, fine fellow. I don't even know how to access my whispers on my mobile app here. Whew. Don't know if I can. Guess I'll have to do it on the web version. Oi! What type of response is triggered by the parasympathetic nervous system? So, a sleep, digest and rest response. It's the primary system that controls the body's actions in absence of a stress response. What is the function of the medulla oblongata? The function of the medulla oblongata. So, medulla oblongata is the lowest portion of the brainstem. Activity and then swipe to whispers. Activity feed? Oh. Swipe. I'm swiping. No, that's not it. There's loads of icons, but nothing that I can see that's being helpful. I keep swiping, nothing's happening. Quick actions. Auto mod. Mod actions. Predictions. Reward requests. Yeah, I got nothing. I got no whispers. Interesting. Okay, but yeah, the medulla oblongata has a respiratory system. It has a cardiac center, has a vasomotor center, and it has a reflex center. For me, it's the activity tab at the bottom of the app, then it shows them separately to notifications at the top. Huh. Activity feed filter. Nope. I see nothing. No, don't want to read the channel, thank you. Email only chat, nope. Poll results. I'm probably dumb, but I don't see it. Okay, we are just about ready for our second set, chat. So, let's see what we can do. I did see the predictions tab though, hang on. Did I see the predictions tab? Yeah, I did. Let's do... Okay, here you go. Here's a vote, chat. You've got 30 seconds to vote. Oh. Why can't I start? Oh. Yes. No. What? Cancel that? What? I don't understand. Oh, give me a second. I'm winning. I'm learning, chat. Wonderful. Nice. Ah, there you go, chat. There's a prediction. Oh, what do you think? Will I achieve the goal? Get your bets in. What is neuralgia? Neuralgia is burning or tingling sensations along the nerve cell. Ooh, big vote for yes. Okay, I like it. Right. Let's see if you were correct to believe in me or not. Give me a good song. When they go for 6, can't disappoint the guy in chat. Come on. A little bit tighter now. Okay. Yeah. I believe that was 6. Was that 6, chat? Hello, sir. I am from the UK, fine fellow. Freedom units? Yeah! I freed the lift from the ground. Go me. Aye. Okay. There we go. Whoever voted won themselves some points. Fine work. Okay, what are we doing next? Sumo! We're dropping the weight a tiny bit and going to sumo deadlifts. Very cool indeed. Stiff-legged deadlift. Where's my sumo? What? It's deleted my sumo deadlifts. Which end of his mother? They are still trying to work that out currently. We'll let you know if we get an update. But, your guess is as good as mine. Okay, sumo deadlift, there we go. Add that, thank you. Move it up. Right, and move up again. And yes, let's put it above stiff-legged deadlift. Thank you. Alright, wonderful. What are we doing? 112? I wasn't that sick last time, was I? Alright, we'll go 115 then. Sounds good. Hoi! Right, yo! So, lowering the weight, slightly different exercise modality. I believe I was up at, did I ever get, I don't know if I got 140 on the sumo deadlift before I was done, before my hip injury. So I'm hesitant to claim I did. Alright, that's 110 and we're doing 115. Cool. And then we're doing stiff-legged deadlifts, which are always interesting. What is the primary function of a thalamus? The primary thalamus function is to relay impulses to an thalamus cerebrum. The nervous system sends messages to the brain at blank kilometers per hour, 290 kilometers per hour. Well, there's the primary function of the parietal lobe. Parietal, temporal. Parietal lobe, I believe, functions to regulate auditory impulses. Sensory information, damn it. What is spinal cord injury? Damage to the spinal cord. I mean, what is the structure of the pons venoli? Pons venoli acts as a bridge between hemispheres of the cerebellum, I believe. Yeah. Consists of nerve fibers which bridge the gap between the two hemispheres of the cerebellum. What is peripheral neuropathy? I would imagine damage or dysfunction in the peripheral nerves. Yes. Okay. So chat, let's go for sumo deadlifts. go beltless for this one. It's a bit lighter. So it's a bit lighter, it's still 115. But I am stronger in the sumo deadlift than I am in the regular deadlift. Aye. Doing anything later? I'm gonna do some Nautica tonight, I think. About 8:30. Okay. And now, stiff-legged deadlifts of 74 kilos. And it's way too hot. Hey chat, do I have permission to take my shirt off? I feel like doing it without asking is impolite. But it is rather warm. Okay, 10, 30, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. We're doing 74, I believe. Aye. Thank you, Sam. We're deadlocked. The Sam's point counts for 2 because they have a female sounding name, so they get double points. You know, because I'm a gentleman. Righty-ho! Alrighty, I need to balance out this. Let's see, 10, 30, 50, 60, 70, we need 4. I can manage that. If the only thing getting challenged is my math skills, I could will be doing alright. Okay, 75 kilos. I think remarkable. We got baby weights again, chap. Alright then, chap. Clip it. Aye. By the way, physique update, we are at, what we're at, like 170 pounds now, something like that. We're doing alright. We're still going down quite a bit in terms of the actual overall weight, but very surprised, good surprised, indifferent surprised. I do feel like it is kind of a, what's the word? There's a word for it. A dichotomy, I guess. Because like externally and via life endeavours, I am a giant nerd. And then I have the fitness side of things, which I feel like is an unusual hobby for someone who does a lot of online sort of content creation and whatnot. Ugh. Here's a question for you that is probably trivial, but you never know. What organ functions as an oxygen reservoir when holding breath? Well, your lungs and your blood, typically. So the way that your lungs work is via mass diffusion. So blood will be brought into your blood capillaries, which run close to your alveoli, which are your alveolar sacs. As when you take a breath in, your diaphragm compresses and flattens out, which results in an increase of your thoracic cavity, which results in a lower pressure area in here, and as a result, the weight of the atmosphere of the Earth pushes air down your trachea into your bronchus, into the bronchioles, spread out further and further and further from the primary, secondary, tertiary bronchioles, and end up in the alveolar sacs. These alveolar sacs are squamous, they're wet, and they're very highly specialized for transfer via the process of diffusion. So if you think of your deoxygenated blood passing one side has a higher concentration of carbon dioxide than the air that we're breathing in, and as a result, the carbon dioxide passes into the alveolar sacs for expiration, and the oxygen does the same in the antithetical direction, or the opposite direction, oxygenating the blood. And so the entire systemic circulation, right, blood being pumped, so on a return journey in the pulmonary veins, which are the only veins in the body that carry oxygenated blood, they travel back to the left atrium of the heart, pass through into the left ventricle, and are pumped through the aorta into systemic circulation to supply all of the periphery and the oxygen to the systems and organs of the body. And so this is why CPR works, right? Is because CPR, or chest compressions, are providing a pumping action. So a pressure gradient is being formed throughout those vessels within the body and circulating blood. And when the heart stops pumping, like in a cardiac arrest, your blood is still oxygenated, right? But it's not flowing. So there's still leftover oxygen in your blood, which is why CPR saves lives, because you're pumping, you're providing that pressure gradient, and you're pushing the blood around the body, resulting in oxygen getting to important places like the tissues and the brain, for example. So, in answer to your question, the lungs and the blood itself is the main reservoir of oxygen. The answer I'm looking for is an organ that excretes additional red blood cells in response to holding breath. Our organ shrinks by 10 to 12% in the process. I'm not familiar with whatever it is you're referring to, Nearly Batman. Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever heard of that. By all means, let me know. Curious if it's a gap in my knowledge. Alright, let's do stiff-legged deadlifts. did know that. So, the spleen, I believe, is considered, well, it's not an essential organ because its functions can be taken over by the liver. But one of the functions that I remember reading about is that it's a blood reservoir. So I assumed that the purpose of that was in cases of blood loss. It would add additional blood to circulation. I wasn't aware that it actually functions that acutely. So when you hold your breath, it performs function. I did not know that. That's cool. Very cool indeed. Okay. I'm very happy we got 12 with the stiff-legged deadlift there. That's lovely. Okay. Now, we're going for leg extensions. Yeah. Righty-ho. Boop-a-dip-up. Up-a-dip-boo. Right. By the way, might as well give another shout out to Workout Ways. It's my fitness website, currently transitioning into a career as a PT or personal trainer. So, if you are interested in finding fitness, whatever fitness means to you, I can certainly help you find out. Oh. Okay. Alright, so I think we'll warm up with 30. Five to start. Right, this should be fine, but I should be prudent and find the other clip. And that is not it. This is not it either, is it? Dang it! I'm pretty sure I just picked up the same one twice. One of the questions of the world, chat. Why, oh why, does a 1-inch clip not work on this 1-inch bar? I've got to get the other 1-inch clip for this 1-inch bar because it thinks it's goddamn special. So over there. Yes, it is. How am I lost? I live here. There we go. Cool. What is poliomyelitis? Poliomyelitis. I remember trying to diagnose this one via the word itself, and it didn't work. I believe it's inflammation of the brain and spinal cord. Inflammation of the nerve cells of the brain stem and spinal cord. Cool! Yes. Dang it! Okay. Primary function of the parietal lobe. Integrating sensory information. What is neuralgia? Burning or tingling sensation in the nerves. What is motor neuron disease? A rare progressive disorder resulting in degeneration of the motor neurons. As we grow older, the brain loses approximately 1 gram in mass per year. What is the structure of the medulla oblongata? There's 4 centers: vasomotor, respiratory, cardiac, reflex. Well, there's a somatic nervous system responsible for. So central nervous system, periphery, autonomic, somatic, primarily conscious or voluntary motion. What is the function of the midbrain? Controls an iron auditory reflex. Describe the dura mater. So the dura mater is a double-layered membrane that forms the outermost layer of the meninges. I believe the outermost layer forms the periosteum, or the skin of the skull. The dura mater blends with the arachnoid mater and follows the spinal cord as far as the sacrum. What is myasthenia gravis? Post-viral or chronic fatigue. Damn it, no. Describe the spinal nerves. So there's 31 pairs of spinal nerves, 8 in the cervical region, 12 in the thoracic, 5 in the lumbar, 5 in the sacral, and 1 in the coccygeal. Most of these nerves branch out into plexuses, with the exception of the 1st to 12th, or the 2nd to 12th intercostal nerves. Nice. What is multiple sclerosis? Degeneration of the protective myelin sheath that surrounds nerve cells. Nice. Okay, chat. Let's go. I believe I've done all of my questions for today, so now I can focus on work. Alright, we're doing the 7.5? We are. Oh my lordy loo. This is gonna suck, but I'm gonna love it. Oh. Okay. Hey chat, should we do another? We'll do another prediction, shall we? If I can work out how to do that. Which I can't. Okay, I'm bad. Cool. Good to know. Another poll, a prediction, dang it. That's not right. Nope. Nope. Dang! Why can't I find the prediction tab? Came up easily earlier. My lord, I am incompetent sometimes. The word sometimes is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Auto-mode. This is silliness. Oh, here we go. Start prediction. Okay. Chat, get ready to get your points in. Let's see. How many reps I get? Let's see. 10, 11, 12. Yeah. Okay. Right, chat, I'm curious to see how much faith you have in me. I think, personally, that I'll get 13. That is my estimate. But by all means, have a vote. Spend your points. Invest in my legs. My quad development. $12? Oh no. Probably is 12, you know. But I've got the sound of silence by Disturbed playing, so it's not all bad. All I've got to do is just think about Dr. Mike. I'll be fine. Right. Let's see what we can do. Can I get a song that makes me hype? That might do it. Oh. Thunderstruck? Ooh. Okay, let's do this one. Wish me luck, chap. Ooh. I do my best overnight. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Now, we're going to do some hamstring curls. Huzzah. And that, I think, will finish our workout once we do that. Rather comprehensive. What did we do? We did squats, into deadlifts, into sumo deadlifts, into stiff-legged, into leg extensions, and then finished off, or will be finishing off, with some hamstring curls. Could do some calf work as well, if we wanted. How are you, Bernardo Knight? You're doing well? Oh, did we get 14 on our leg extensions? I think we might have. Yeah, generally, Bernardo Knight, I take those sets to sort of one or two reps shy of failure. Certainly at the moment, and to be honest, at the moment I really don't need to, because I'm on a cutting phase, so I'm losing weight, which means I'm not putting on a huge amount of musculature. So honestly, I'm probably taxing myself more than I need to for just a maintenance objective. But the issue is, going to failure is fun. I mean, it sucks, but it's very fun. Right. So, with our hamstring curls, we're doing 40. Okay. 40 kilos. Let's warm up with 32.5, shall we? The issue with going to failure with hamstring curls is, one, I'm not Dr. Mike. Two, I often get stuck. Because, yeah, my blessed compound synovial hinge joint, otherwise known as the tibio-femoral joint, does not extend as far as I sometimes need it to in order to get out of this. And because I have to start by doing this, when my hamstrings are very, very tired, it's a little bothersome to get out of this. But we'll see how it goes. Are you a gym goer yourself, Aldo? So, all the way up to 40, how fun. Now, only want 11 reps with 40. Let's see how we feel about that. Oh. Right, so. Oh. Sick at the moment, getting better. Flu, I guess. Exactly, getting stuck is awful. Always using safeties, yeah. It's one of the pet peeves of mine, actually, is people lifting alone using clips on things like bench press and stuff. I'm just like, one, if you need clips, you're probably lifting too heavy. Two, it's a safety hazard. If you are lifting alone, don't use clips. If you fail, it's easier to bail the way if you don't have it clipped onto the bar, which is currently compressing your windpipe. Silliness. Just do a couple of free weights. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I started today off with squats into deadlifts, into leg extensions, so it's been good fun. Exactly! I see people deadlifting, people bench pressing like 200, 300, 400 pounds, and they've got clips on the bar. I'm just like, if that comes down on your neck, there's a very good possibility you're gonna die. Like, people have died by doing that sort of shit. And it's just like, if the problem is, oh, I need clips on the bar, otherwise the weights are falling off, fix your form or use less weight. Those are your solutions. Pet peeve, as I said, I could ramble on it for quite a while. Hey, Arvo, please tell me you have seen the Dr. Mike hamstring curls. Please tell me you've seen it. It's so fucking funny. For people who may not know who Dr. Mike is, he's a very large fitness YouTuber. Runs a channel called Renaissance Periodization. Was recently exposed, if you like, for having a PhD thesis, which is basically Poundland level quality, like absolutely atrocious. One, made the point that was bleedingly obvious to begin with. Two, didn't make it well. Three, literally copy and pasted tables with data and included impossible data, spelling and grammar mistakes all over the place. It was literally awful, and the man got a PhD. Fascinating story. But what's of particular amusement to me is that he advocates training very hard, and then people critique him because in most of his training sessions, he's not training that hard. Right? He's just blasting a buttload of gear, and as a result has a physique as a result of, blasting gear into his ass. And so as a result, he seems to have this massive insecurity connected with whether he trains to failure or not. And so there's a clip of him training to failure on hamstring curls. It is the funniest thing. Can I even describe it? The man, he's screaming his head off for a solid 10 reps on video. I haven't even seen the end. I don't know if the end of that footage exists. But for one thing, if you're screaming 10 reps on failure, you're not screaming because of effort. That's not how failure works. Two, the bar, the weight that he's moving, never slows down.